So I spent this morning going over the Frank Reich press conference because they decided to switch the play calling duties again. You'll remember.
Well, that's the answer.
You remember 3 games ago, Thomas Brown was handed the play calling duties coming out of the bye week, and they won. Remember, they beat the Houston Texans. And after the game, Frank Reich was so overcome with emotion that they won, which they needed, and that Thomas Brown did a hell of a job. He got a game ball, Joe.
This one mean, hey, they all mean a lot. This one means a lot to me. Woo! Woo! Yeah. We knew he was going to be a beast when he got here. And when the game was on the line, he called the perfect series, right? Thomas Brown.
Yeah, there's the sequence, the game ball.
It's October 29th.
Today's date is November 16th. And now it's suddenly back to Frank Reich. And as I'm chopping up this press conference, he sounds like a coach who knows he's cooked. And if he's going to be cooked, I might as well go out there under my own control. Like, I'm going to drag this thing. I have thoughts on this. I have thoughts on how you go about this, but let's start with Joe Person, the Athletic, who asked about this flip-flop. For 3 games ago, you're emotional about all of this, and now we're here.
To flip-flop on this just 3 weeks after you gave it to Thomas, what does that say about, I guess, the direction of this program?
No, I understand. And, I understand what's going to be said and how it may appear to some. Nothing I can do about that. As I've said from the beginning, the whole process is pretty collaborative anyway. And I guess the way I look at it, in this league, it's a game of inches. It's a game of, small increments. If you can find ways to get 1% better.
Sorry, I have to pause it right there because he's talking about a game of inches. I'm thinking Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday. That's what it's a game of inches. You got to go out there. Like, come on, fight. Come on, Frank. I mean, we're going Al Pacino at this point.
Here, 1% better there. And if, what if my experience, if I just won't be able to live with myself if I didn't bring every ounce of that to bear on these last 8 games. That's how I feel. I just want to, so that's where we're at.
Interesting word of choice of words there. Last 8 games.
Yep.
Last. Think about it. The New York Giants are committing football malpractice right now. They're averaging 11 points per game, if not for the incompetence of the Giants and the Jets, who lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? You have the Patriots, who obviously the sun has set on the legend. These are the teams that are below the Carolina Panthers in scoring. Carolina Panthers have scored more than 24 points once all season. That's not going to get it done, even in this new, if you want, the new NFL where scoring is down. You're scoring 13 points. He gives them a game ball after they scored 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
But
you called the perfect sequence at the end of the game, and you're supposed to have growth. The
Giants and the Patriots are appallingly bad on offense that they're averaging fewer points than the Panthers.
And those are
look who's right above them. That Canada.
But at least in a very difficult division, the Pittsburgh Steelers find themselves in a wild card situation.
I want to have that moment with Frank Reich. These are your peers.
Yeah.
Poor Tommy DeVito, washed up Belichick.
Yep.
The corpse of the Jets and Matt Canada.
And all those quarterbacks are either on their third choice of QB.
That's me in the radio room going, wait a second, Joe. Are these my peers?
Yep.
Am I in trouble?
But the difference is you're supposed to have the point guard. You're supposed to have the QB that you sold out for to get because you truly believed in what he could bring to the table. And instead, Bryce Young is 29th as a rated QB. He's 27th in total passing yards. He's got 7 interceptions, 8 touchdowns. And worst of all, I understand why Brian Daboll's trying to cook up a plan that Tommy DeVito should not throw the ball.
Please give him the proper name. Poor Tommy DeVito. It is his name.
You're right. Poor Tommy DeVito. Daboll does not trust poor Tommy DeVito.
And why would anyone?
Why would he?
The poor guy like traded in his spleen to play football.
The Patriots are seeing where, yeah, man, this Mac Jones thing is not great, but you're stuck with Bailey Zappi.
The Zap Attack.
And then, of course, you've got Zach Wilson and all the crap that they're dealing with in New York.
Number 2 overall pick.
Yeah. So you see where we're going here. Are we really putting Bryce Young in that category too? Is he amongst his peers there? Kenny Pickett is he amongst his peers there? See, I don't think so. And I think that's the worst part about this. Is Frank Reich clearly does not trust Bryce Young to do the things that he wants him to do. But it's much easier to get rid of your coach than it is to bail on a guy that you gave up a lot of draft picks and capital to get. And that's why I think Frank Reich's on the way out. The other reason why I think Frank Reich is on the way out,
man, 1 year.
He's committing the biggest coaching malpractice ever. And let's put this on the parent level, right? Or something. I'll put it on the level of you and me sometimes.
1 year.
You get on my ass, rightfully so, about show me how to do this so I can do it.
Right.
And I'll learn. Might be a little slower, but I'm going to learn.
Like when you were gone last week.
But you learn.
Thursday.
You learn.
The puppy drowned on Thursday.
But you know how I can get. I'm like the Saturday Night Live skit, Nick Burns, the company computer guy, where rather than just deal with a little bit of the frustration of your learning curve to get with the program and edit the video and get it out on time and everything else, what do? Move. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. And I hate myself for that. I really try to work on that personally. I'm hearing Frank Reich basically do the equivalent of Nick Burns. All right, Tom, it's Brian. Hey, man, but we have one. Move. I'm going to do it. Buddy, you're going to get fired. So, and man, credit to Joe Person.
The last 8 games.
Credit to Joe Person, because oftentimes the Carolina,
not the next 8 games, the last 8 games.
The Carolina Panthers have sometimes been knocked for not being a very difficult media group to deal with. It's not New York, right?
Sure.
It's that kind of stuff. But Joe Person, when it's time to put the needle on a coach, Joe Person will do it. So Person followed up with the, hey man, it's collaborative, maybe 10% better. He had, in fact, I don't have the clip because it's like 2 minutes long, but I'm going to paraphrase. I think it was, I want to say it was Vashti who had asked about the collaborative efforts. And he said, oh man, I mean, Thomas made some calls that I never would have made. And I was like, man, that was brilliant. Like that was galaxy brain. Like, man, I'm learning so much from you after 3 weeks. Okay. And despite the fact that he openly says, yeah, man, Thomas would have called some stuff that I never would have done. So it was great that he was in that position. But you know what? Cool. I'm going to take the play calling back. Person then went, okay, like, nah, the messaging's off here.
If you say that he wasn't going to be able to do magic, then why did you give it to him in the first place?
Because I've always had this vision that, when I came here, like I mentioned to you guys in the first place, that even though it's always been in my blood to be a play caller, that in this second time around, there's many successful coaches who don't call it. And I've talked to those coaches about what that experience is like, to be able to manage other things and devote more energy to other places. And, and I said, I need to try that. I need to try that. Mr. Tepper was on board. I told him what I was going to do, and he was on board with that. He certainly understands and appreciated that model. And as I said, I always thought it would be when it was with Thomas. I thought, hey, just because of how smart and how good he was and the impression he made on me and our staff and our players, I thought I'll do it during the bye. But before the season, I might have thought, well, might be a year, might take a year. So, that's where it's all at.
It makes no sense whatsoever. When I got here, I thought it would take a year, but then I saw how awesome he was, so I wanted to do it during the bye, as if he wasn't dealing with any pressure being winless going into the bye.
Takes notes, add Billy Madison clip. We are all dumber.
Yes.
For having listened.
But
that might be a copyright issue.
But I actually found an even dumber clip. Mike K., Charlotte Observer. All right, Thomas Brown isn't the answer. It's going to go back to you. But did you ever consider Jim Caldwell, who's part of this very expensive coaching staff and the brain trust that everybody was bragging about in the offseason? I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say Jim Caldwell knows what he's doing when it comes to offense, right?
Sure.
Guy's pretty smart. That's why you brought him in. Did you consider Jim Caldwell?
Can you clarify what Jim's role is?
So that's Mike K asking the question after Frank Reich said, nah, it wasn't really a consideration. So Mike K hits him with the, what exactly do you do here, Jim? Like, all right, it's a brilliant question from Mike K. Salute to Mike K, because it's a good question. Okay, so what exactly does he do?
What would you say you do here?
Can you clarify what Jim's role is as far as with the offense?
Jim has been a tremendous asset to me personally. Be able to talk through every situation with him. He's in a lot of ways helping me oversee everything. He's sometimes he's in defensive meetings, sometimes he's in offensive meetings. And his years of experience and helping gauge and helping me gauge, what are the next steps that we need to take, just talking stuff through with him, personnel stuff, coaching stuff, everything, philosophical, offense, defense. He's, obviously a very wise coach. And so I pick his brain a lot.
So from here on out, do we want to call Jim Caldwell the Panthers Yoda? A very wise man. I go to his little hut and we discuss things and do or do not. There is no try when it comes to play calling. Or is he the director of vibes? Because that's the impression that I got from
that's not what
soundbite.
This staff was supposed to be.
No,
Look, I told you
not.
The Panthers have neither hope nor do they have success.
Dude.
So they are in this really bad position where they desperately need a fast forward button to get out of this season. Yes, Frank, perfect words. Last. They will be your last.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the irony of all ironies that the guy who used to be a minority owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers will now have more coaches than the Steelers have had since like 1965 in a 6-year span. Like, what are we doing?
Well,
what did you learn in Pittsburgh? Like, as much as I hate them for not firing Matt Canada, like, when a man's got a code, you got to live by a code, man.
No, I don't think he learned anything in Pittsburgh other than it'd be.
Oh,
cool.
I know what he learned. I know what he learned.
The defensive
got to play the 3-4 scheme.
Got to play the 3-4 scheme.
Doesn't matter what you have up front. You got to play that.
He's running everything like a distressed asset right now. And at this point, maybe he'll flip the Panthers as a distressed asset and make more money.